So I played Dark Souls for the first time, and here are my thoughts. I played Elden Ring first, which now I'm clocked in at over 300 hours total, if you count the 250 I played on PS5 and the 60 I played on Steam. And I'm one achievement away from 100% at Sekiro on Steam, and I played a lot of Demon Souls as well, so I'm not completely new to the series, but I'm just going to give you my thoughts from a first time player's perspective in 2022 on the Dark Souls game. So, as far as difficulty goes, I was actually pretty arrogant coming into this game, considering that I've played all those other Souls games and I've done very well at them. Um, Little did I know that I would struggle with this one a little bit. I quickly realized that the nuances and style of the game was very different and a lot more punishing. For example, the rolls in this game are way more punishing than anything in Elden Ring. And as far as Sekiro goes, obviously that's a rhythm game, so it's a lot different story. But the roll timing and the amount of rolls you can do, you can't just roll and escape out of stuff like you can in Elden Ring. You have to have your timing down. And so as far as the difficulty, it was an adjustment. It's difficult in a different way than Elden Ring, and I appreciated that. It was a completely different perspective, and I hope when I move on to other Souls games, it helps me become better at those. The second thing I kind of wanted to talk about was the layout of the map. Now, this is something that I've heard a lot of people praise, absolutely adore the layout of the map because of the interconnectivity that it has and presents. And I'll have to definitely agree with that. However, there were areas of the game that I can confidently say I didn't really enjoy. One of those is going to be Tomb of the Giants, and I know that I'm probably going to get backlash for saying that, but the whole idea of that area being dark. Now you can use the lantern to light it up, but for me, honestly, I just wasn't the biggest fan of that area. New Londo Ruins, I really, really didn't like, just because you had to use items every time you had to come in to fight the enemies, and I just found it overly tedious. But that could just be me. But for the most part, I enjoyed a lot of the areas. Obviously, there's Anor Londo that I enjoyed. There is Firelink Shrine, which is a classic hub area. So, yeah, I enjoyed the game and the interconnectivity of the map a lot. As far as bonfires go in this game, I appreciate that this game encourages exploration by having the bonfires generally few and far between. And kind of to add on to that, it gets pretty tedious, but that's the design of the game. I don't necessarily love the tediousness at times because there's times where I have to run back and forth, especially if I fail or if I'm wanting to farm somewhere. Um, that obviously with Torn and Elden Ring and later Souls games with Sekiro with the grapple hook, it gets a lot easier to traverse the map. But like I said, that's design, and the smaller scale map is part of the charm of it. Um, I chose to play most of the game under level, which obviously didn't help my case when it came to having to respawn at a bonfire and go through the entire area again. So, bosses, obviously, this is the big one. Overall, I enjoyed the bosses a lot. I don't think they're as difficult to read as in the later games. Obviously, there's bosses that come along, like Ishin the Sword Saint and Melania, that kind of destroy all these bosses in terms of readability because I mean a lot of their moves are stiff and telegraphed, but that's kind of what fits with this game because if it were any different, you would really struggle, especially with how the rolling works. There are quite a few ways to cheese a lot of the bosses in this game, but overall they're pretty solid. Some of them are great. The OSTs are amazing in this game. I love them. I think out of all the Souls games I've played this far, it has my favorite OSTs for the bosses. The cinematic experience overall is pretty great. There were a couple bosses that did give me trouble though, like Ornstein and Smo, which is probably a surprise to no one. Not saying that the fight is bad. I'm just saying that actually I love the fight. I'm just saying that that one gave me a lot of trouble as far as difficulty. I didn't use summons, by the way. I didn't use Solaire. And Gwen gave me quite a bit of trouble until I got the Black Knight shield, and then after that it was smooth sailing. But until then, he gave me quite a bit of trouble as well. The variety. There's a wide range of options to choose from, obviously, to beat the game, and I really appreciated that. Um, you do not have to be a melee build. That's what I chose to do personally, but by no means do you have to be a melee build. There is no reason that that's set in stone. You can play the game any way you want to and probably succeed as long as you know what you're doing. You do kind of have to be in the know, and if you don't really know the lore about certain items or what certain items do or are effective against, you kind of have to use guides every once in a while. And maybe that's a new thing to say because I didn't figure it out everything out on my own, but that's just the honest truth of it. I can't really comment much on the sorceries. I didn't play with them, but I'm assuming they're probably pretty potent like they are in other games. The combat, obviously, with it being relatively old at this point, the combat is a bit stiff and outdated, but not nearly as bad as I was expecting. You know, this game is how old now? Let's see, 2012, 2011. So about 10, 11 years old. And I was expecting it to be completely ancient, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. Honestly, I preferred the combat in this game over the Demon Souls remake. Um, I was pleasantly surprised with the abundance of the animations and how smooth the game actually played for it being so old. I know it's a remaster and it's running at 60 frames per second, which probably makes it a lot better. But yeah, for the most part, I enjoyed the combat and the animations. I thought it was pretty good, and there's a wide variety of things and animations for each encounter. So yeah, overall, I love this game. I mean, that's the truth of it. I've loved every Souls game I've played thus far, and for a first experience, it was great. I tried to just really enjoy it, just really get sunk into the world. And I really have to think to myself kind of how it stacks up against Elden Ring and Sekiro and Demon Souls. But, you know, it is definitely an amazing game, a masterpiece, nothing short of it. And I'm saying that not having played it since it came out, which was about 10 years ago. So if you like the video, go ahead and like and subscribe and comment and tell me what you think. Tell me how this ranks in your Elden Ring, or in your Dark Souls experience, Dark Souls games, and tell me your ranking and tell me what you like about the game. And thank you guys. This is Wizard, and have a good day. Peace.